Well, I'm pretty excited. I got my new exhaust in the mail for the Ninja 300. It's sitting in this box right here. Came just today, and it's going to replace the factory exhaust. So the exhaust I ended up going with is a cheap Amazon exhaust, and cost me about $60. 60, maybe 62, I forget what it was. There was a coupon available for it, so it's actually pretty nice looking from what I could see so far. It looks way better in person than it does on the in the photographs. So I'm gonna unwrap this so we can take a better look. Well, here it is, unwrapped. And wow, it actually looks really nice in person. It looks way better than it did online. From about 2 feet away, it actually kind of looks like real carbon fiber, which is crazy. So what we're gonna do is install this, and this is the this is off of Amazon, and this is the Ransoto exhaust from Amazon, and comes with all the clamps needed to install it, along with the adapter pipe in here. So what my plan is to compare the sound of this exhaust with the modified exhaust that I did in a previous video. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my previous video. And what I did is I removed this cap here and I drilled holes around the outside, and then I also drilled a couple holes in this piece right here, and it actually made the exhaust sound a lot better. So we're gonna see how this sounds compared to an actual exhaust pipe, if it sounds the same, better, or worse. This has a little piece in here that's kind of muffles it, so I'll run it with this piece in, and then I'll remove that piece, and it should give us a little bit more sound. So we can run it both ways and see which sounds best. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start this up and get a little sound clip with the stock exhaust. So this is the stock exhaust. This is a cold start. Alright, we're going to remove this pipe, and we're going to put on the new one and see how it sounds. Okay, so I got the old exhaust off, and it was pretty simple. There was one bolt here that was holding this flange on here, and then there was a clamp at the bottom here, hooked into here, holding the heat shield on to the pipe here. So it was 2 bolts slid off, and now I'm ready to put the new pipe on. I've got this adapter piece here. It's gonna slide on, and then I'm gonna fit the exhaust here onto this, and gonna kind of mess with the angle here so that I get the nicest look here, nicest angle, and then this clamp will actually hold the pipe into this slot here, and I'll reuse the old bolt here that came out, the old bolt, and the nut here as well. So I'm going to clamp this up, and then we'll fire this bad dog up and see how it sounds. Alright guys, well there's the finished product. So it went on fairly easy up until I had to install the springs here. These springs are pretty tight, the ones that come with this. So you're going to need some kind of a spring puller. I just used one from a drum kit to do drum brakes, and it had a little hook on it to hook onto the spring, and you're going to have to pull pretty hard. You want to make sure that this is sitting flush though, so leave your bolts loose here and here so that you can kind of swivel things around and allow it to fit, and leave that one loose. And then once you get the springs on and everything's sitting nicely, then you can tighten this bolt up, this bolt here, and this one under here. Let's start this thing up, see how it sounds. Now this is with the insert, like I said, that's in right now. Sounds good at an idle. It's pretty raspy. That's loud. That's definitely louder than the modified. Sounds pretty good. Real throaty. It's very loud with that insert in, so I'm going to take the insert out and let's see what happens. Alright, so here's what it looks like with the insert out. It's pretty much straight through. So let's see how it sounds here. It's definitely a little deeper at idle. I'm barely hitting the throttle. It's loud. It's got a nice pop sometimes too. Well, I'm going to have to take it for a drive to really get a feel for if I like it better with the insert in or the insert out, and I'll have to report back to you. Alright, so I just took her for a ride with the baffle in and with it out, and it's super deep and pops pretty loud on deceleration without the baffle in, but with the baffle in it's still got like a nice snap crackly pop on deceleration, but it's not as loud. It sounds way deeper with it totally out. I wouldn't say like a regular, you know, inline 4-cylinder bike, but pretty deep. You can still tell it's just a little 2-cylinder, but it's a little bit harder to tell unless you're like revving up higher RPMs. Whereas with this in, you could definitely tell it just sounds like a Ninja 250 or 300 with a exhaust on it. But I did notice when I was pulling this out just now, and I pulled it out with the Allen key because it's so hot, but I noticed there's also, within the baffle, there's a plug there. So there's actually 3 stages of loudness you can do. So what I'm going to do is try that. I'm going to unscrew this when it cools down and take out this plug, and I'm going to reinsert this piece, and we'll see how that sounds. So there's actually 4 different options. There's the stock exhaust, well, 5 different options. Stock exhaust modified, the aftermarket pipe with the baffle in, the aftermarket pipe with the baffle in without the plug in, and then the pipe without anything in at all. So I have a feeling that this might be a good compromise between having the baffle totally out and having it in. So we'll see. I'm gonna check it out and I'll let you know. Alright, so I couldn't wait and I had to pull that screw out using my glove. So we're gonna test this now. Alright, I'm going to go take her for a spin, and I'll report back and let you know how it sounds. Alright, so I just went for a ride, and my personal opinion on the sound, what sounds best to me, is it the stock exhaust? Nice leaf. The aftermarket exhaust without the baffle in it, or aftermarket exhaust with the baffle in it but without the plug. So I think a good happy median is the aftermarket exhaust without the plug, but my personal opinion, what sounds best and what I'm probably gonna ride with, is without the baffle. It's way deeper, you get louder pops on deceleration, and I don't know, I think overall it just sounds better. It is super loud. Maybe one day I'll put the baffle back in, but if I do, it's going to be the baffle without this plug in it, because it sounds a little bit better without that plug in there, and you get a lot more pops coming through it. So anyways, that's it. Let me know what you think, and like, subscribe, share. Thanks.